With due respect from all our esteemed guests and speakers, let me start our today's session. Firstly, a pleasant greeting and namaste from India to all the participants, speakers, and guests of today's podium. Today, we are here for the 13th edition of the UNESCO Chair Lecture Series on Addressing Economic Inequality, Unaddressed Aspects of Human Rights. I, Mrs. Soma Mitra, Registrar IIMT Bhubaneswar and Coordinator for UNESCO Chair Lecture Series, welcome all eminent speakers, guests, and participants to this podium. Today, we are fortunate to have with us Professor Francisco Vigliarello, Director and UNESCO Chair, Professor, National University of La Plata, Argentina, Dr. Manoj Kumar Das, Founder Chairperson of India Aged Care Trust, IACT, and founding member of Odisha Dialogues, Bhubaneswar, Odisha, Professor Srikant Patnaik, Chairman IIMT and UNESCO Chair, Lecturer at National University of La Plata, Argentina, Dr. Pramod Kumar Presti, Principal IIMT Bhubaneswar, with us. Let me now take you on a tour about this 13th edition of UNESCO Chair Lecture Series. During this session, we will start with an introductory remarks. We will start the session as we have planned out on addressing economic inequality, unaddressed aspects of human rights. Let me now quickly take you on a short tour about this 13th edition, where we will explore how economic inequality deepens its issues of social justice, restricting individuals from participating fully in their society and exercising their civil rights. Addressing this gap requires a right-based approach that ensures equal access to resources and opportunities, creating a fairer society where human rights are not privileges, but universal entitlements. About this, we will have a very nice internal aspect from Dr. Manoj Kumar Das. Then we will follow further. We will have the next aspect about the institute, where we will get the insight about the Institute of InterScience Institute of Management and Technology, where the state of art and its facilities will be described by Dr. Pramod Kumar Presti, Principal IIMT Bhubaneswar. Then we will have an introductory remark by Professor Francisco Vigliarello, followed by a talk on addressing economic inequality, unaddressed aspects of human rights by our today's eminent speaker, Dr. Manoj Kumar Das. A concluding remark by Professor Srikant Patnaik, Chairman IIMT and UNESCO Chair Lecturer at National University of La Plata. We will end with a feedback cum interaction session. Let me now give you a glimpse about how we have started this UNESCO Chair Lecturer Series and about all eminent speakers during this UNESCO Chair Lecturer Series. We have started during November 1st, 2023. That was our first edition, where Professor Francisco Vigliarello, Sri Suresh Sarangi, Professor Dr. Kamla Prasad Mahapatra, and Dr. Chittaranjan Mishra were our speakers. During our second edition, which we have conducted on December 2nd, 2023, Professor Otto Harman, Sri Subrat Kumar Presti, and Professor Susant Kumar Nayak were our speakers. During our third edition, which we have conducted on January 6, 2024, Professor Francisco Vigliarello, Professor Massimo Franchi, Professor Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Jena, and Sri Ramakrishna Vupalaru were our speakers. During our fourth edition, which we have conducted on February 5th, 2024, Professor Francisco Vigliarello, Sri Ravi Shankar Behra, and Sri Sanu Das were our eminent speakers. During our fifth edition, which we have conducted on March 2nd, 2024, Sri Ananta Charan Swami was our speaker. During our sixth edition, which we have conducted on April 6, 2024, Professor Francisco Vigliarolo and Sri Jagdanand were our speakers. During our seventh edition, which we have conducted on 10th May 2024, Professor Francisco Vigliarolo and Professor Otto Herman were our speakers. During our eighth edition, which we have conducted on 1st of June 2024, Professor Shrikant Patnaik had given his aspects about this economic system and human rights. During our ninth edition, which we have conducted on July 5th, 2024, Dr. Ranjana Bajpayee was our speaker. During the 10th and 11th edition, which we have conducted on September 28, 2024, Professor Andrew W.H. Ip and Dr. Wu Chu Chak was our speakers. The 12th edition was conducted on 18th October 2024. Dr. Bala Nakhendra from Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi was our speaker. And I would be very happy to tell you all that we have completed the 12th edition and this is our 13th edition. Let me now take the privilege of today's platform and introduce Professor Francisco Vigliarolo, Director and UNESCO Chair, Professor, National University of La Plata, Argentina, formally to the audience. Professor Francisco Vigliarolo is a full-time professor of regional economics at Catholic University of La Plata and social economist, PhD in social sciences, specialization in economic sociology, postdoctorate in economics, and master's in sustainable development. He is also an associate investigator of the CESOT of the University of Buenos Aires. At the University Nacional de La Plata, he is chair-holder of UNESCO Chair in Economic Systems and Human Rights. He founded with almost 20 universities all over the world. From 2008 to 2015, he worked at the University of San Martin, where he promoted and designed the first master course financed completely with European funds in Argentina in democracy and DDTHH, where moving from Italy to Argentina in order to study social responses to the financial crisis of 2001. He worked at the University of Ferrara, where he was professor of social economics and methodology of techniques of social investigation and promoter and coordinator of some masters, including social economics and non-profit organizations and social economics and international cooperation. He has also been director of CIPSI Italy, Federation of 45 NGOs present in more than 60 countries around the world. With his investigations, he is interested in local development processes such as construction of territorial identities that imply the affirmation of rights through the strength of associative and democratic forms of production. In this direction, he works to what is called an economic phenomenology, which aims to observe the economy starting from the relationship between subject and materiality, which presupposes functions, ideas, concepts, and the affirmation of the relational identity of a democratic society, which defines an ontological reason as opposed to the utilitarian one. He has published various books and scientific articles from which he explains concepts such as social, ethical, capital, economic socialization, and democracy, demand for the rights of the people, mesoeconomics approach, and the principle of economic phenomenology. As his latest book, we mentioned, The Economy is a Social Phenomenon. Principles of Economic Phenomenology in 2019, published with Eureka. Wolves and Lambs, Capitalist Societies and Ways Out in 2017, published with Chaka Book. Let me now introduce Dr. Manoj Kumar Das, founder chairperson of India Aged Care Trust, IACT, and founding member of Odisha Dialogues, Bhubaneswar, Odisha, and our today's eminent speaker formally to the audience. Dr. Manoj Kumar Das is the founder chairperson of India Aged Care Trust, IACT, and a founding member of Odisha Dialogues, a think tank and thought leadership forum based out of Bhubaneswar, Odisha. Dr. Das is also senior advisor to the Center for Environment and Development, CET, Trivandrum. The professional journey of Dr. Das spans the domains of government, corporate, and NGOs over a period of more than 27 years. Dr. Das holds a doctorate degree in economics of education from the Jawaharlal Nehru University, JNU, New Delhi. He has authored 3 books, 8 research papers published in books and journals, apart from authoring and guiding a number of research and evaluation, baseline, midline, and endline reports on a range of development issues, including CSR and sustainability, stakeholder engagement, education, migration, sanitation, and water management, disability, child labor, and family environment. Currently, Dr. Das devotes most of his time to policy research, advocacy, and public narrative building in the field of aging and elder care and certain aspects urban development. In the past, he has worked for organizations such as All India Radio, Rehabilitation Council of India, SOS Children Villages, SR Group, AES Corporation, and Odisha Power Generation Corporation Limited. Today, we do also have Professor Shrikant Patnaik, Chairman IIMT and UNESCO Chair Lecturer at National University of La Plata. Let me take the privilege and introduce Professor Shrikant Patnaik formally to the audience. Dr. Shrikant Patnaik, the founder and director of IIMT Bhubaneswar, holds an MBA from Sambalpur University in 1991 and a PhD in computational intelligence from Jadavpur University, India in 1999. With an extensive academic career, he has supervised various theses and master theses in computational intelligence, soft computing applications, and re-engineering. Dr. Patnaik's scholarly contributions include more than 100 research papers in international journals and conference proceedings, along with authoring 3 textbooks and more than 100 edited volumes, including invited book chapters published by leading international publishers such as Springer Verlag, Clover Academy. He holds editorial positions in various book series and journals, including those published by Indus Publishing House, that is, International Journal of Information and Communication Technology, IJICT, and International Journal of Computational Vision and Robotics, IJCVR. It also includes publication from Springer, IGI Global, contributing significantly to the dissemination of knowledge in his field. May I now request Professor Dr. Pramod Kumar Prishti, Dean Academics, IIMT Bhubaneswar, to give a glimpse about all activities of IIMT Bhubaneswar. Sir, please.
Jai Jagannath, a very good afternoon and happy welcome to all esteemed speakers and participants. Myself, Dr. Pramod Kumar Prishti, welcome you all to this podium. Let me now give you a glimpse about our institute and its activities. IIMT Bhubaneswar, Inter-Science Institute of Management and Technology, Bhubaneswar, was established in the year 2007 with an objective of teaching science of management in addition to the practice of management. The name itself explains about the scientific study of management, and further to mention that it is inscribed in our institute logo. Workshops, seminar, and conferences. Let me explain what we mean by teaching science of management. During these 15 years of existence, we have organized, facilitated more than 100 symposium, seminar, workshops, national and international in various niche areas of management and technology. Since our inception, we at the rate IIMT have edited and published more than 100 volumes in the area of management and technology from reputed publishing houses like IEEE, ACM, Springer, Elsevier, iOS, SPY, Fluor Academic, MDPI, Hindawi, or IndoScience, etc. All these books are available for purchase from Google or Amazon. All our faculty members are engaged in these activities. Each year, we invite and host professors from abroad for workshops and seminars. I am tempted to say that this year, Professor Jesus Garcia from Universidad Complutense de Madrid and Professor Vijayan Sugmaran from Oakland University School of Business visited our campus. During the month of April 2023, Professor Vipuljan was here from Victoria University, Wellington, for a month on a research exchange program. We publish management books through our own in-house publication, that is IIMT lecture notes on management, where we publish the essential books like self-management, career guidance, and emerging fields of management. We have started one channel, namely IIMT Open House in YouTube. The purpose is to educate students and parents at large on various subjects and disciplines through talks and interviews. By now, we have more than 100 episodes available at our YouTube channel, namely at the rate IIMT Open House. We have taken interviews with professors, professionals, entrepreneurs, and policymakers. We have created a platform known as Interscience Research Networks consisting of professionals and researchers. It is available at www.interscience.ac.in, through which we organize various programs inside and outside India. We do arrange workshops and seminars at various universities. IIMT is organizing an international conference on economic systems and human rights towards an economy of brotherhood, ESHR 2024, in May 17 and 18, 2025, under the guidance of Professor Francisco Vigliero. Our institute is in the UNESCO Chair Professor Institute Network. Professor Florin Propendiu Vladisescu from City University, London, who is a UNESCO professor in the domain of information technology, visited our institute during 2016. Today, I am proud to say that we are hosting the UNESCO Chair Professor on Economic Systems and Human Rights. Thanks a lot to Professor Francisco Vigliaro for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the insight. May I now request Professor Francisco Vigliarolo, Director and UNESCO Chair, Professor, National University of La Plata, Argentina, to deliver his introductory remarks. Sir, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you always for your important seminar. I will make a little introduction for 10 minutes, more or less. And first of all, I would like to say that it's very, very important topic, in my opinion, what we are discussing today, because this is one of the reasons why our chair was born, to address the topic between human rights, economy, and inequalities. That was one of the important problem in this year, in my opinion. in order to address this important topic, I think that we have to reflect on the birth of the new inequalities that was born from the 1960 and the 1980 years, when the process, so-called of economic globalization, began and developed. We have to understand that we are in the framework where the wall of Berlin was fallen, no, fallen, and the only dominant economic was the capitalism that transformed into the financial capitalism. That means that the growth no longer the financial capitalism that the wealth was built on the financial market and not more with production, in few words. And this that means that the growth no longer goes hand in hand with the real well-being, but with the new inequalities that really affect human rights. This is one of the problems that we have to address today. For example, according to the latest global wealth report, global wealth is growing 4%, but strong inequalities in the distribution of money persist. In fact, 2 trillion in the world, 2 trillion people in the world is in the hands of just, 2 trillion of the wealth is in the world is in the hands of 14 people, followed by another 12 with asset between 50 and 100 billions. Half of the world wealth belongs to the only 8 million people. This is not a problem the problem is that this wealth grows with a new phenomena that is called jobless growth, that affects the value of the salaries of the other people, and we have witnessing a new phenomenon that the richness, the wealth is not longer produced by workers, but by financial operation. We can think that 95% of financial values has not linked with good and service change, and so we can say that the causes of these, some of the causes, because it's different for different part of the world. Some of the causes, generally, we can say that are economic globalization, financialization of the economy, and for example, for the Territorial School of Sustainable Development, the economy in this moment is enemy of peoples, and not the concept of economy is not more based on the creating of well-being, but of the richness that is crematistic for people, for individual interests. And for example, for Dalikov and the GDP, analyzing Dalikov, two USA authors analyzing the GDP of the United States in the decade of the 70s, the index of sustainable and economic welfare is which is obtained by adding and subtracting some cost not included in the externalities of the GDP and for example, some human rights, show how the curves of the two indices change from the half of the 1970s. The GDP was growing while the index, the E7, was declining, was decreasing. And it means that we Also, with the quantitative data, we have that we can witness that the wealth is not creating well-being, but it's creating new inequalities, new poverty, and new problems, such as, for example, environment change, no, environment change and the crisis and social crisis. People with higher incomes tend to have better access to service. That means that people to with higher incomes tend to have better access to service and opportunities. They are also less likely to have their basic human rights violated. According to the data presented in December by the World Health Organization, WHO, in its global report on health equity for people with disability, it is highlight that globally the number of people with significant disabilities has increased to 1.3 billions. From that 1 trillion, in 1 in 6 people, it means that of 6 people, and now they is with problem or disability that before they haven't. No, they haven't. This is something important that we have to understand, that economy affects directly the wealth of people and human rights, such as, for example, healthy education, foods, good foods, and so on. How to get out the question? The question is how to get out. In the same period, in the 19, maybe with the global globalization process was starting for many analysts. At the same time, many organizations from the law, no, not bottom up, but excuse me, bottom up was building another economy. How to go out? It means to reconstruct a new model of economy, new theories, and reconstruct the fabric, the social and environment, the social fabric of the that underlies the economy. That it's not, that cannot be guided by individual interest, but we have to rediscover the common good, some nucleus, what we call in our chair, excuse me, social economic socialization. Economic socialization, it means that we need to rediscover that we have a nucleus of values that have to reflect in good and service, in process, in activities, also in the economy. And this is with new norms, new institution that we need to promote and to guarantee human rights for all. That it's not something that it depends on the capacity of the people to have incomes, but this is something that we have to guarantee for all, and to obligate in something the economy to promote this. I think I'm thinking to ethic financial, some models, some ethic financial that is not working on the capacity of money, but on the capacity of people to arm some project, to have values, social and environment values, responsible. I'm thinking about social economy, civil economy. Here in Latin America, they used to call, because I am more from social economy, but solidarity economy, and many organizations all over the world. In a book I remember of Jeremy Rifkin in the 1996 was talking about this, of how social economy from bottom up was increasing more than traditional economy. This means that people are finding out some different economic model by practices, but by new practices, that was born in spontaneously many times. I came here in the 2001 when there was a financial crisis, one of the most important financial crises of the history in Argentina, where a response was the recovery enterprises. Recovery enterprises that was democratic company that was followed, and in a democratic way, workers buyout in other part of the world, they are defined, workers in a democratic form took the company. I think that we are in a we are working the some response. We are working some response. We need to change international order because if, for example, monetary fund works only monetary fund, World Bank only works with conditional, excuse me, conditional clause. It's difficult to understand to allow people to create their democratic economy. In my opinion, one of the most important words is democratic economy, because if we are not democratic in a democratic economy, it's very difficult to create an economy that does not build inequalities. Because in this moment, economy is built inequalities permanently, because only some groups, some economic groups have the wealth, and they accumulate. They accumulate. This is another problem, no? Because we need to create an economy where there is an investment permanently. We have for example, social economy, in the laws of the social economy, they have to invest. They have to invest. The companies have to invest permanently in the territory, and we have to discover a new relation between companies and society, a reciprocal relation, where there is not exploitation of resource, but a use and a good use of resource, reciprocal use of resource, because we have not to create quantitative economy, but qualitative economies of qualities of management of resource of and get out of these models of consumption and come back to creativity is one of the important harm that we have to build another economy. Well, I don't know if I gave some point of reflection, and in my opinion, is very important topic. The inequalities is very important topic. Inequalities today are affecting human rights. So it's really, I'm agreeing with you, because this is the challenge that we have, and that we are working with our chair on economic system and human rights. One of the problems is that the economic does not reflect the human identity. Identity is where there is a being. Some professor, Papisca, one great professor for me in Italian, that found one the Human Rights Center, one of the most human rights center in Padua, say that where there is a being, there is a right. Now economy does not reflect this. We have to how to build something we are building, but we need to building in a structured way, where it's important, where it's essential that human being is at the center of the economy and not the system of accumulation. This is what happened, in my opinion, in these centuries, and we have to revert this situation. Okay, I give the floor to the next speaker, and thank you again for inviting me. Good job.
Thank you, Professor. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for giving us an insight on an economy of brotherhood, which emphasizes the interconnection between economic system and human rights, advocating from equitable access to resources and opportunities for all individuals. It was really nice to hear from you, and always it's great to hear from you. Thank you, sir. May I now request Dr. Manoj Kumar Das to deliver a talk and educate us on addressing economic inequality and unaddressed aspects of human rights. Sir, may I kindly request you? Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Soma. Uh, we have always heard of inequality uh, and economic inequality. There are other social inequalities also. As a student of economics, I have read about it long ago, uh, and I have been reading about it and discussing on various forums how inequality in the world in various forms has increased over the years. Now I have got an opportunity to speak again about it in a very volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. So let me first tell the audience that how many types of inequality are there. There is income inequality. Then there is lifetime inequality. It is closely linked with income. Then there is wealth inequality. Then there is inequality of opportunity. I mean, we talk about equality in the terms of equality of opportunity, not absolute equality. And then we have horizontal inequality, which is more social of nature, social ethnicity. And then we have vertical inequality. So there are 6 types of broad types of inequality. And let us first understand, what these inequalities stand for. Income inequality is the extent to which income is evenly distributed within a population. It is not inequality between two people. Of course, if you make a random sampling of people, everyone will have a different type of income and level of income. So there will be inequality, but we are talking about inequality in a population. If it is not evenly distributed, then there will be high level of income inequality. Then what is lifetime inequality? It talks about the inequality at the individual level. That, what is the inequality an individual faces or experiences over his or her lifetime. Then inequality of wealth. Wealth is not just income, but the accumulations that come along with income. So therefore, we have household assets, we have houses, we have cars, we have factories. All these are parts of wealth. So therefore, it is actually distribution of wealth. Like there is income inequality, distribution of income. So this is distribution of wealth across households and individuals in any society at a specific point in time. And then inequality of opportunity. Inequalities that happen because people belong to a certain family, a certain socioeconomic status, a certain gender, or a certain ethnic background. And many of the inequalities emanate from these kind of differences around the world. Like in India, caste is a source of inequality for several centuries. Gender, like women do not get equal chances, equal opportunities in the labor market. Sometimes a man and a woman in the private sector, not in the government sector, in the private sector, in the corporate sector, may be drawing different salaries, even if their qualifications, positions are the same. And this happens in the unskilled labor market also. That is inequality of opportunity. What is horizontal inequality? It is more cultural or social, such as gender, race, religion, caste, and sexuality. I mean, sexuality means we have. I mean, earlier we had in the Indian scenario we had two sexes, male and female, but we know that there are different sexes now, which with the recognition of third gender by the Supreme Court of India, we have the whole spectrum of LGBTIQ community with different sexual orientation and sexual identity. So therefore, any inequality which happens because of these social and cultural factors is called horizontal inequality. And what is vertical inequality? Vertical inequality is the difference in wealth or income between households or individuals. So this is vertical inequality. Then how inequality is a vicious cycle. I mean, there is a very old adage that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. This is not just an adage or a cliche. I mean, an old saying. This is very much contextual even now. And the concept behind this adage is that wealth is concentrated in certain pockets or in certain households or in certain communities, which perpetuate inequality in a country, in a community, in a society. For example, children born in a rich family will definitely have an economic advantage because they will inherit more wealth, and that will lead to better education, and they will start with better health, and therefore they will have a chance of earning a higher income than somebody who is born in a poorer household. And these advantages in favor of rich people make this cycle a vicious cycle, not a virtuous cycle. In the contemporary world, it is Thomas Piketty, a French economist, who wrote a book in 2013, which was named as Capital in the 21st Century in English. I mean, he originally wrote in French, so the name was different. But when translated into English, the title of the book is Capital in the 21st Century. Mr. Piketty says that the wealth gap in all over the world has increased phenomenally since 1980. 1980 means over the last 45 years. I mean, then in 2013, it will be 33 years, but in the meantime, wealth gap has increased further, has widened further. And Piketty holds the view that inequality persists because of wealth concentration, about which we talked just now, that how wealth concentration in some pockets gives an advantage to people who belong to those pockets. However, Piketty says that global inequality has probably decreased because of high growth rate in some Asian countries, like the Southeast Asian countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and China, Japan, then India. So somewhat this inequality might have decreased, he speculates. But then the statistics which he has presented says that the top 10% of the population is far more richer than the bottom 20%. And then one more startling fact which he says is that the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 99%. That is the level of inequality that is persisting in the world today. And because of that, this world percent of population all over the world, like Ambani's, Tata's, Adani's here in Birla's here in India, and other people elsewhere. They control the economy and they control the financial markets because of high concentration of wealth in their hands. And you will be surprised to know that during this period between 1980 and 2013, in United States alone, this top 1% people, their wealth increased by 150%. And in Australia, it increased closer to 100%. In Singapore, it rose by 40%. In Ireland, Norway, Sweden, it was more than 50% and probably ranging between 50 to 70%. So this is the level of wealth gap that has taken place in the entire world, which is affecting poor people very badly. And inequality is measured by a statistical metric called Gini coefficient. And it is between, in a scale of either 0 to 1 or 0 to 100. One can take, any scale one likes. So like 0.05 will be 65% or 0.5 will be 50%. So, and Gini coefficient, which in a more than 40% or 0.4. In a scale of 0 to 1, it will be 0.4 of you, or if you, interpret it in percentage terms, it will be 40%. Any Gini coefficient level of more than 40% means the society has more tension. It is ridden with conflict, which will only grow. Therefore, inequality is dangerous not only for the people concerned, but also dangerous for the society. It is not good for rich people. It is in the interest of rich people if they shed their wealth and try for a better, less unequal world. That is why you must have seen that, Bill Gates or back home, Mr. Narayana Murthy or Ajim Premji, they keep on donating their personal wealth for public good, for addressing public deficits. And in a paper, two researchers, very famous researchers in the field of measuring inequality, Thomas Helbrandt and Paulo Mauro, in 2015, they confirmed what Thomas Piketty said, that global inequality has declined, but it still remained very high. And Gini coefficient, although it decreased between 2003 to 13, as per their statistics and as per their findings, but it still remained high in the sense that it decreased from 68.7% to 64.9%. I mean, by 2.8% only. In 10 years, the coefficient level, decreased only by 2.8%. And the bulk of the world population in 2013 still lived on very low incomes. For example, in 2003, half of the world's population, that is the median value, lived on less than 1,000 international dollars per year. I'm saying per year, not per month, which became 2,000 in 2013. I mean, it doubled. Even then, the inequality remained at 65%. And they have projected, these two researchers, they have projected that in 2035, I mean, some 11 years from now, it will decline further. Gini coefficient will decline further, but it will still remain at a level which is more than 60%. That means a desirable level is 40%, but Gini coefficient in the world will remain 50% higher than a desirable level. This means we are addressing locally, we are addressing globally many issues which are presented us through sustainable development goals. However, the result is not very, very encouraging. And the global median value, I mean, when the Gini coefficient still remains high, the global median value will get doubled between 2013 to 2035. It will get doubled and reach 4,000 international dollars in a year. So if we say that the past is a good guide for the future, then the world will highly unequal for a long, long time to come. There is no respite. And what are the consequences on human rights? Or what are the intersections? What are the links between inequality and human rights? You know, we see that there is food insecurity. There are 700 people, 700 million people, sorry, 700 million people. Out of 8 billion people, there are 700 million people. I mean, that means 10%, almost 10% of our population, global population, they are not getting adequate food every day. So food insecurity, armed conflict, which is going on between, Israel and its neighboring countries, going on between Ukraine and Russia, going on elsewhere. So this armed conflict, food insecurity, we just had COVID, which was a big public health emergency. Climate change, we are each year we are having more and more cyclones with devastating impact on populations around the world. So these factors are already threatening realization of human rights. But on the top of that, this intensification of inequality has reached an alarming level. And that is adding another layer of growing concern for the entire humanity. And people experience inequalities across a number of dimensions. It may be less educational attainment, even if they have the talent. Less health in the forms of higher levels of maternal mortality, higher levels of infant mortality, and in the distribution of power. Power is something which is used for good. The democratic principle is that power should be used for the highest benefit of the greatest number. That is the benchmark. But then power is not utilized benevolently. Because of unequal distribution of power also, what happens? All these inequalities proliferate and they mushroom. And there is another kind of inequality that, if you compare between men and women, how much leisure time they enjoy in across societies, it is men who are able to enjoy more leisure time. They are able to relax more than women. Women are putting in a lot of labor to keep families intact, to send their children to schools. But at what expense? Expense of their health. They suffer a lot of health issues. So therefore, it is not surprising that richer households everywhere, they definitely enjoy better outcomes throughout their life. They get better services, they get better education, they get better health, they have better resources at their command, whereas the poor languish and their human rights get violated every day. So therefore, any kind of inequality, whether it is horizontal inequality, whether it is lifelong inequality, whether it is vertical inequality, any kind of inequality, regardless of income level, can violate human rights. For example, low income households in an unequal society will be doing worse than similar kind of households in a more equal society, where the discriminations are less. Then another scholar in the inequality studies, Max Roger, he wrote in 2021 that whether you are healthy, wealthy, educated, whatever you are, or whoever you are, it doesn't matter more. What matters more is where you are born. Like, life expectancy in poorest countries like Ethiopia is 30 years shorter than in rich country. I mean, like Spain, Sweden, or Australia. 30 years shorter. That means if an Australian or a Spanish person or a Swedish person has a life expectancy of 75 years, somebody in Ethiopia or Nigeria will have life expectancy of 50 years, only 50 years. And remember, for the last 500 years, migration, I mean, I'm talking about world migration, international migration, has remained constant between 2 to 3%. It has not increased. It has never gone below 2%, and it has never gone above 3%. Therefore, data say that 90%, 97% people, wherever they get born, they live there. So if you are born in a country which has a poor resource base, which is not democratic, which is not liberal, where asking a question will put you behind the jail, then even if you are born in a rich family in that country, you are worse off than a country which may be poorer, but if it is liberal, if it is democratic, if there is less ethnic conflicts, you will be better off. So therefore, I am not suggesting that an individual's work ethic, motivation, talent, skill. I'm not saying that they don't matter. They do. They definitely do. But all these personal factors collectively will matter much less and will be entirely outside the person's control, the individual's control, if you are not born in a large productive economy or a liberal country or a political and socially democratic country. Suppose you are born in a bad country, even if you are extremely talented, the results of those talents will be far lesser than a country which is more politically and socially democratic fabric. Therefore, what do we do? What are the action points? We have 17 SDGs. Uh, I mean, like you see what is happening uh, in Gaza Strip, what Israel is doing. I'm not getting into whether who is wrong and who is right. But anybody who is born there, whether he is a Israeli or whether he or she is a Palestinian, is right now having a nightmare. Whether you have wealth, whether you don't have wealth, whether you have a PhD or you have never gone to a school, your fates are always hanging on fire. Isn't it so? But the whole world is not as gloomy as Middle East at this point in time. Therefore, we need to do things in other places while trying to address the conflicts that are happening in some particular geographic location. So what we need to do is we need to start with redistributing wealth. This 1% people having or owning more wealth, more income, more money than the bottom 99% is not the society definitely we want. Nobody wants this kind of society. This kind of society will not go far. It will be torn with internecine wars, conflicts, domestic violence, so on and so forth. Domestic violence, by domestic violence, I don't mean household violence, but domestic violence means internal conflict inside a state or a country. So, so definitely we need policies within a country. We need taxation policies. We need other redistribution measures like social security measures to reduce inequality. However, please remember that if you are paying taxes in a rich country or whatever country, even if you are paying more taxes, it will not equally increase the status of poor people in the same country because that money will get dissipated. You will never find it visible in the quality of roads or quality of schools or quality of health centers. So therefore, I mean that's not international redistribution also. That will be, even if it happens, even if a good thing happens, it will be within the within the four corners of your state or of your country. But if you want international redistribution, then you need to work internationally. Like some industrial houses, like you know Bill Gates, Microsoft. Bill Gates works across the countries. Therefore, and invests in building human capital, in building health, in building capacities of people. So, if you are rich, if anybody is rich, you pay taxes in your own country, but invest some money in poorer pockets of the world, be it Africa, be it Asia, wherever you find it convenient, suitable, useful, then invest it there. Donate your money in order to redistribute wealth internationally. You may be able to still live a very good life with a little less money, but it will make a big difference elsewhere in a poorer country. And address social and political issues. Poverty as a measure of inequality is not a very reflective measure of inequality. There are other inequalities, as we discussed. There are racial inequalities, there are sexual inequalities, There are geographical inequalities. There are many other inequalities. So, addressing those inequalities will, like caste-based inequality. Suppose, I mean, in many corners of our country, people from certain castes are not treated well. That is an inequality. Yes or no? So therefore, addressing social and political issues. What is political issues? Power. Power is required for governance, for better governance. And power is never required to fulfill. I'm talking about public power, parliamentary power, legislative power, power of the judiciary. Power in the public sense is meant to uplift everyone, to make everyone's future better, to leave no one behind. So therefore, these social issues, apart from income inequalities, are very, very important in addressing human rights. Then make technology access equitable. Technology is getting to be a big differentiator. It is making people jobless in many cases. And these technologies in certain countries, if gets concentrated over the years, it will lead to greater economic inequality and wealth concentration. Therefore, making technology access equitable is a very certain tool and instrument of addressing inequality. And what is the fourth way? Address unrest and conflict. Like I said, right now in the Middle East, whether you are poor, whether you are professor, whether you are governor, it doesn't matter. Any rocket from any side can come and kill you. So unrest and conflict will make life poorer for everyone. Therefore, addressing unrest and conflict is essential to address and make human rights better in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. I have said whatever I had to say about inequality and how it impinges, affects human rights, and how it builds an unequal world, and what are the top action points on our agenda globally, that all our institutions, starting from local to global, whether we are talking about a gram panchayat in the Indian sense, or we are talking about the UN, which is a constellation of all countries of the world, 194 or 198 countries of the world. Whether you are talking about the gram panchayat, a local governance body, or you are talking about the highest governance body, that is the United Nations. Addressing these issues is or must be on the top of the agenda. Then only we will be able to make the future better, less unequal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. You have given us a very nice insight that addressing economic inequality is important. Addressing those problems, addressing those aspects is important. Then only we can move forward to make out an equality in the society. Thank you, sir. May I now request Professor Dr. Shrikant Patnaik to deliver his concluding remarks.
Now, before that, anyone is having any questions? I have just a question for Dr. Das. So out of these 6 different inequalities, what is your perception is a major challenge, or all are equal?
No, I mean, all inequalities cannot be equal.
Yes.
In my opinion, suppose I am rich, but in a community, I am being discriminated. What is the value of that richness? If I am not having dignity as a human being, so I, as an individual, I treat horizontal inequality or horizontal equality.
Correct. Correct.
I put a premium on horizontal equality in comparison to vertical equality or inequality. I
Okay.
put a premium on that. So
Okay.
therefore, for me, social inequality is always more important than monetary inequality.
Okay. So out of these 6, again, you have say categorized mainly into 2 categories. One is vertical, second one horizontal. So
Yes.
horizontal, you are giving more importance than the vertical.
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me, I would like to ask if it's possible to have a brief relation to public in our website of this.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Okay,
It's
thank
possible.
you. Thank you. I would like,
It's
because
possible.
it's an important topic for us to reflect to have different stimulates
We can,
about.
Professor Francisco, we can work, we can work further on it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks. No, I really appreciate too much your relation, and I think that it's very, very interesting to can spread to colleagues to on our website to material of material to reflect on.
Yes,
Material.
yes, of course. I will provide with all references. I will provide.
Thank you
No
so
problem
much.
at all. No problem at all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Francisco. Thank you, Dr. Das. In fact, today all our guests are in time, so we didn't get any free time to discuss and chit chat. Usually, Professor Francisco join after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because it is early morning, so we get a chance to chit chat between us and the speaker. So today that time was not there. So it is now time to have a chit chat, because everyone in the podium, in the forum, they do unique work. I must introduce Dr. Das to this forum, as well as to Dr. Francisco. He is a columnist, and he writes on each problem of the society, whether it may be, say, policing, it may be, say, pollution, it may be water issue, it may be any sort. And he shifted to this city, Bhubaneswar, only 1 year before, and he stays in the same condominium where I stay. And I know him only 1 year before. Before that, he was in Delhi and in other places. And whenever I had a chance to go through his article, it was so lucid that you will never you will never forget to remember all those say minute things. And very lucidly he talks about the issues, so that anyone can understand. And today, so therefore, I request him to address these issues. And for Dr. Das also, I must tell that we have already 13 episodes, and we are planning to bring out a volume out of these say talks on by different eminent speakers, so that it will be as a part of the UNESCO chair professor's work, what he is doing in UNESCO. So it is a nice time to have with you. And this will be uploaded in our YouTube Open House channel. And thanks again to join with us. And we'll be continuing to do this kind of
Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you all. Thank you, Professor Francisco, taking your early morning time. Namaste.
Nah, don't worry. Don't worry.
All the best. Have a nice day. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day to you too. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye.